Who can you imagine? Set foot on a land where the sky seems to be reachable. Where snow-capped mountains silently guard the secrets of eternity. Dubbed the roof of the world, Tibet holds endless natural beauty and is a spiritual realm steeped in legend. It is said that there are Lamas who can see into the thoughts of others, even reading plans that have not yet taken shape. Every step on this plateau is a journey touching a living history, making us wonder, are we walking in reality? Or are we lost in an unfinished legend? At an altitude of more than 3,600 meters above sea level, Lhasa has long been considered the center of pilgrimage and spiritual life of the Tibetan people. In the middle of that city, rising majestically and resplendent, is the Potala Palace, an eternal symbol of wisdom and compassion. Situated majestically on a hill in Lhasa, the Potala rises between sparkling white and crimson, embracing the light of the plateau. This is the tallest palace in the world, but what makes it even more majestic is not its height, but its spiritual aura. For Tibetans, the Potala is more than just architecture. It is a beacon of faith, a place where legend and devotion intersect. From the legend of the cave of Bodhisattva Chenresi, the palace has become a holy place, containing sacred treasures, statues, relics, murals, recounting the history of Tibet and the journey of the Dalai Lamas. The Red Palace, the holiest of all houses, the golden stupas of the late Dalai Lamas, making the Potala both a palace and a mausoleum for the saints. Climbing the stone steps, both pilgrims and tourists feel like they are lost in a mythical world. Prayer flags flutter, incense wafts, and butter lamps flicker in the silence of the main hall. The Potala is thus both a symbol and an endless mystery of Tibet. At the heart of this holy city is the Jokhang Temple, often called the spiritual heart of Tibet. Built in the 7th century, the temple houses a statue of Buddha Shakyamuni, said to have been blessed by the Buddha himself and considered the holiest object in Tibet. The temple is resplendent with gilded roofs and intricate woodwork, its halls decorated with shimmering butter lamps that cast a mystical glow on ancient murals. The Bakor Circle encircles the temple like a rushing river of faith. Thousands of pilgrims make their way clockwise, mantras whispered with each step. At Jokhang, the atmosphere is heavy with centuries of prayer, a place where the divine and the mundane seem to collide. Not far away is Sera Monastery, one of Tibet's 3 great monastic universities. While Jokhang represents silence and holiness, Sera radiates energy and wisdom. Founded in the 15th century, the monastery is renowned for its vibrant tradition of debate, where monks in crimson robes clap and challenge each other in spirited exchanges of Buddhist philosophy. These debates are more than just ritual. They represent a dynamic intellectual pursuit, combining discipline and passionate dialogue. The monastery's courtyards echo this intellectual passion, while its chapels house centuries of sacred scriptures and art. Perched on the vast Tibetan plateau, Mount Kailash stands 21,000 feet tall, a lonely peak shrouded in myth and reverence. Unlike other famous Himalayan peaks, it has never been climbed. Not because of its sheer cliffs or unpredictable weather, but because it is considered sacrosanct, sacred to 4 major traditions: Buddhism, Hinduism, Bon, and Jainism. To set foot on its slopes would be to violate a cosmic boundary. Instead, pilgrims from across Asia and beyond come here each year to perform the Kora, a 52-kilometer circuit around the base of the mountain. The path winds through high mountain passes, across glaciers, and along wind-swept valleys. Every step is an act of devotion. Some walk with prayer wheels in hand, whispering mantras into the thin air. Others lie prostrate on the ground, measuring the entire journey with their own frame. For them, hardship is not an obstacle, but the essence of the pilgrimage, an opportunity to purify the soul, burn away the burden of karma, and move closer to liberation from the endless cycle of reincarnation. Just south of Kailash is Lake Manasarovar, a jewel-like lake more than 4,500 meters above sea level. According to Hindu belief, Brahma conceived the lake in his mind before it was on Earth, making it the holiest body of water in Asia. The lake's waters change from deep blue to turquoise, reflecting the snow-capped peaks one moment and the vast sky the next. For countless pilgrims, plunging into its icy waters is an act of purification believed to wash away the sins of life. The lake's shores, fringed by prayer flags and the soft hum of hymns, feel like they are floating between worlds. Manasarovar is both a mirror and a threshold, reflecting Tibet's natural beauty while also opening a path to the unseen. Kailash and Manasarovar together form a spiritual land where landscape becomes scripture, where faith is etched into every rock and wave. Rising to more than 6,200 meters, Mount Amnye Machen stands as one of the most revered peaks on the Tibetan Plateau. Draped in eternal snow and often veiled in drifting clouds, the mountain dominates the horizon with a presence that is both majestic and mysterious. For centuries, Amnye Machen has been worshipped not only as a natural wonder, but also as the earthly manifestation of a powerful, protective deity. Among Tibetan nomads, it is believed to guard the grasslands, livestock, and the rhythms of life itself. Each year, thousands of devotees embark on a sacred Kora around its base, a grueling circuit of more than 150 kilometers. The journey winds through high passes, wild rivers, and windswept meadows, where each step is seen as an act of devotion. The beauty of the mountain also reflects the quiet spirituality of this land. At dawn, its icy slopes glow pink in the first light. At dusk, the mountain's silhouette becomes a hazy guardian against the endless sky. Amnye Machen is both a sacred presence, a symbol of resilience and reverence, and a deep link between nature and faith on the plateau. Lake Namtso, often called the Heavenly Lake, is one of Tibet's most mesmerizing natural wonders. Resting at an altitude of over 4,700 meters, it is among the highest saltwater lakes in the world, glowing like a vast turquoise mirror upon the windswept plateau. Fed by underground springs and the melting glaciers of the Nyingchi Valley Mountains, its waters are astonishingly clear, reflecting drifting clouds, snowy ridges, and the endless sky above. Encircled by wide grasslands and guarded by towering peaks, the lake radiates both grandeur and serenity. For Tibetans, Namtso is more than a landscape, it is sacred. Local legends describe the lake and the Nyingchi Valley range as eternal lovers bound together to protect the land and its people. Five islands rise from the water believed to represent the five Dhyani Buddhas, drawing pilgrims who circle the lake in devotion, convinced that each circuit brings peace and spiritual merit. Hidden deep in the remote northwest of Tibet, within Gurs County of Ngari, lies a mysterious landform locals call the Tree of Earth. Though not a living tree, it appears carved across the plateau like an immense trunk, with branches spreading outward, formed naturally by flowing water and centuries of erosion. From above, the patterns are astonishing, as if nature had sketched its own symbol upon the highlands. Discovered and photographed in 2023, this phenomenon adds another layer of wonder to northern Tibet's landscapes, a reminder that even in the most desolate corners of the plateau, the land holds secrets as breathtaking as any sacred lake or mountain. Located in the far east of Tibet, Nyingchi is a valley unlike any other on the plateau. While much of Tibet is arid and harsh here, the land is soft and alive with rivers, forests, and snow-capped peaks. Each spring, Nyingchi transforms into a sea of flowers. Wild peach trees, burst into bloom, their petals glowing pink against the deep blue sky. The flowers stretch for miles, blanketing the valley, spilling down the hillsides, and leaving footprints on the riverbanks. The scene is dreamlike. Petals drift in the wind, landing on the meadows and village rooftops. The air here is lighter, fresh, fragrant, filled with the peaceful promise of renewal. What makes the difference is the contrast. Delicate peach blossoms bloom in the shadow of Nyingchi Valley, one of the world's most majestic peaks. The delicate pink stands out against the white snow. Soft petals against jagged cliffs. Life and grandeur blend together. Nyingchi's peach blossoms bloom for a brief period, but leave an indelible impression. Walking here in spring is like stepping into a vivid painting, a vision of color and light. Fleeting but unforgettable. Deep in the eastern edge of the Tibetan Plateau, the Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon is often described as the last great unexplored canyon on Earth. Deeper than the Grand Canyon, it plunges more than 5,300 meters as the Yarlung Tsangpo River, which later becomes the mighty Brahmaputra River, cuts through the Himalayas. Here, the terrain is dramatically fragmented. Snow-capped peaks tower like white stone walls, while below dense forests shimmer with mist. The canyon is more than just a geological wonder. It is also a crossroads of many ecosystems. Alpine meadows give way to subtropical forests, fed by the monsoon rains that pour down into the gorge. Rising above it all is Nyingchi Valley, a peak that seems to guard the entrance to the canyon. At 782 meters, it is the easternmost giant of the Himalayas and one of the least climbed mountains on Earth. Locals call it the Shy Mountain because its peak is almost always shrouded in clouds, only visible to the rare, lucky few. In Tibetan tradition, Nyingchi Valley is revered as a male deity, the spear that pierces the sky, guarding the hidden land of Pemako that is said to lie beyond. From the high point of Sajila Pass, on a rare clear morning, the clouds can part, revealing the mountain's perfect pyramid, rising above the forests and rivers. Prayer flags flutter in the wind, their colors symbolizing the elements held up as an offering to the unseen. Perched at nearly 5,000 meters above sea level, Ziju Monastery is often described as the world's highest temple, a sanctuary seemingly suspended between earth and sky. Built entirely of wood and stone, it clings to the sheer cliffs of the Ziju Mountains in Tibet's Kathmandu region. From afar, the monastery looks less like something crafted by human hands and more like a natural extension of the mountain itself. A vision of faith anchored in rock. The architecture is both simple and ingenious. It has massive stone foundations grip the red cliffs, while timber beams extend outward, creating halls and prayer rooms that appear to hover above the abyss. Inside the monastery glows with color, wall paintings, intricate carvings, and statues of the Buddha embody centuries of Tibetan artistry. Every line and brushstroke seems to tell a story of devotion, discipline, and deep meditation. Yet Ziju is more than architecture. It is a place wrapped in mystery. Locals believe the monastery was founded over 3,000 years ago, making it not only one of the highest, but also one of the oldest cliffside temples in the world. Legends say it was built by a monk of extraordinary power who soared across the sky and chose this impossible perch to spread the Dharma. Another tale whispers of hidden treasures sealed within the temple, visible only to those with a pure and unclouded heart. Pilgrims travel from across Tibet to reach this remote sanctuary, climbing steep paths to offer prayers and seek peace in its solitude. Standing on its terraces, one feels both awe and humility, the sweeping view of the Tibetan Plateau below the endless sky above, and the monastery itself hanging like a bridge between the human and the divine. Lake Yamdrok, known as the turquoise heart of Tibet, is one of the most breathtaking sights on the plateau. Lying at an elevation of over 4,400 meters, the lake stretches like a winding ribbon. Across the mountains, its waters glowing with shades that shift from pale jade to deep sapphire. From the high passes above, Yamdrok appears endless, a vast mirror that reflects the boundless sky and snow-capped peaks. What makes Yamdrok extraordinary is its aura of mystery. Tibetans believe the lake holds the very life force of the land and that its turquoise waters are blessed by the deities. To stand on its shores is to feel a stillness so profound that the lake seems alive, breathing softly with the winds that ripple across its surface. In the morning light, mist rises in silver veils. At dusk, the waters blaze with colors that echo the setting sun. The surrounding landscape only heightens the sense of wonder. Gentle valleys unfold into wide grasslands, while in the distance, the jagged silhouettes of the Himalayas guard the horizon. At times, the lake feels like a secret world, suspended between earth and heaven, untouched and eternal. For centuries, pilgrims have walked its circumference, believing that each step around Yamdrok purifies the spirit and grants renewal. Whether approached as a sacred place or as a natural marvel, the lake enchants all who see it. The Tibetan Plateau, revered as the roof of the world, stretches in boundless grandeur, stretching out across the horizon under skies so clear they seem almost within reach. With an average elevation of over 4,500 meters, it is one of the most spectacular landscapes on Earth. A vast, untouched land where nature reigns supreme in its harshest conditions. Bitter winds blow across the vast golden grasslands, turquoise lakes sparkle like precious gems across the high plains, and distant snow-capped peaks tower like guardians of eternity. Yet this land, though harsh, is not desolate. It breathes life, a unique adaptation to the highland world. Herds of wild yaks move like dark shadows across the pale steppes. Tibetan antelopes move slowly but gracefully through the open valleys, and black-necked cranes soar overhead, their haunting calls echoing in the thin crystalline air. These resilient creatures demonstrate the strength and endurance needed to survive where heaven and earth meet. In the midst of this majestic landscape is Rongbuk Monastery, the highest monastery on the planet. Perched precariously at nearly 5,000 meters above sea level, the monastery clings to the foot of Mount Everest, its white walls glowing softly against the vast Himalayan sky. Colorful prayer flags flutter in the wind, sending mantras up to the clouds, while within the walls, monks chant in deep, resonant voices. From here, the views are breathtaking. The majestic north flank of Everest towers like a colossal throne of ice and rock, its summit often shrouded in mist. At Rongbuk, silence reigns, broken only by the whisper of wind and the murmur of prayer. It is a place where human devotion and the majesty of nature converge, offering an unforgettable glimpse into the spiritual soul of Tibet. Kumbum Monastery, also known as Tair Monastery, is one of the most prominent spiritual sites of Tibetan Buddhism. Surrounded by the rolling valleys of Qinghai, it is both a sanctuary of faith and an architectural masterpiece. The monastery was built to honor the birthplace of Ji Tsongkhapa, the great reformer who founded the Gelugpa Yellow Hat School, and legend has it that a sacred sandalwood tree grew at his birthplace. Believers claim that the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra miraculously appeared on the tree's leaves, transforming the tree into a symbol of divine blessing and the center of the monastery's spiritual aura. The monastery is a masterpiece that fuses Tibetan Han Chinese and Nepalese styles. Its courtyards, prayer halls, and murals glow with centuries of artistry, while the centerpiece, the magnificent Kumbum Stupa, commands attention with its soaring 9 stories. Rising 32 meters high, the stupa contains 108 gates and more than 70 chapels each, filled with statues, tankas, and sacred paintings. Within its walls are said to be over 10,000 images of the Buddha Bodhisattvas and protective deities. More than a place of worship, Kumbum is alive with tradition. Monks gather for prayer. Festivals celebrate the life of Tsongkhapa, and pilgrims circle its sacred courtyards in reverence. Enveloped by the quiet majesty of the surrounding highlands, the monastery radiates an atmosphere of serenity and mystery, making it not only a treasure of Tibetan Buddhism, but also one of the most enchanting destinations of the Plateau. Located in the city of Shigatse, the second largest in Tibet, Tashilhunpo Monastery rises majestically against a backdrop of towering mountains. Its crimson walls and golden roofs gleam under the sun, creating a vision that is at once grand and sacred. Rows of chapels, stupas, and monk residences cascade down the hillside like a self-contained city where every stone stairway and intricately carved wooden window bears the imprint of centuries past. The centerpiece of the monastery is the giant statue of the future Buddha Maitreya, standing nearly 26 meters high. Covered in gold and adorned with countless precious stones, it radiates an aura of both majesty and serenity. Inside the assembly halls, the flicker of butter lamps casts a mystical glow over ancient Thangka paintings and venerable statues, immersing visitors in an atmosphere that feels timeless and otherworldly. Beyond its architectural splendor, Tashilhunpo remains a living spiritual hub. The chants of monks echo softly through the courtyards, mingling with the mountain winds and the subtle fragrance of sandalwood incense. Here, devotion and beauty intertwine, offering a profound sense of peace and transcendence. With its unique design and sacred presence, Tashilhunpo is not only an architectural wonder, but also a spiritual sanctuary that deeply touches the hearts of pilgrims and travelers alike. And Tibet, with its vast plateaus and sacred mountains, is not just a destination. It is a journey to the heart of wonder and faith. Each Tibet tourist destination has its own story, from ancient monasteries to crystal-clear lakes amid majestic mountains. If this journey has sparked your passion for travel, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to continue your adventures around the world. How can a land of eternal mountains and sacred temples have become a nation only in the 18th century? That is Nepal, once a battlefield of rival kingdoms, each with its own gods, palaces, and powers. Only then did a young king emerge from the Gorkha highlands, brave enough to turn the rival kingdoms into a single destiny. Out of war and devotion, out of ambition and faith, Nepal was born. Small on the map, yet vast enough to hold Everest ancient civilizations and mysteries the world still struggles to explain. At the very center of those ancient civilizations lies Kathmandu, the beating heart of Nepal. This is a city where the past does not sleep. It moves with the streets, mingling with the prayers, the incense, and the restless noise of daily life. Step into the old quarters of Kathmandu, and you'll find yourself in a labyrinth of alleyways crowded with rickshaws, scooters, and people. Bells from nearby temples echo over the chatter of vendors, selling everything from fresh fruit to prayer beads. Kathmandu is often called the Valley of 1,000 Temples, and it's not an exaggeration. Shrines, stupas, and pagodas rise from the chaos, many of them centuries old. Here, Hinduism and Buddhism do not stand apart but intertwine. Within minutes, you can walk from a shrine devoted to Shiva to a stupa where Tibetan monks spin prayer wheels. This blending of faiths has defined the valley for centuries, making it one of the most spiritually layered places in the Himalayas. Beyond its temples and timeless rituals, Kathmandu thrives on the pulse of everyday life. The city is chaotic, yes, but within that chaos lies a rhythm that defines Nepal itself. To walk through Kathmandu is to sense both the weight of history and the restlessness of the present, fused into one heartbeat. Here, the rhythm of Kathmandu becomes the gateway to all of Nepal. High above the valley where the earth touches the sky, Gorkha Palace stands like a sentinel of history. Here on this windswept mountainside, the story of a nation was born, not in battle, but in the quiet determination to build a future that would stand the test of time. The palace overlooking the vast Himalayas was the childhood home of King Prithvi Narayan Shah, the visionary monarch who in the 18th century defied the fragmented map of tiny principalities to forge a single nation, Nepal. Born in Gorkha, a modest town that today holds a population of just over 53,000, according to the 2021 census, he carried within him a dream too vast for the valley below. From the palace terraces, his eyes often lingered on the distant snow peaks, silent guardians that seemed to awaken within him a longing to unite, uplift, and transform. More than a historic site, Gorkha Palace is a living metaphor. Its blend of fort and temple, its walls weathered by time, yet standing proud mirror the spirit of Nepal, resilient, sacred, and eternal. Standing there with the wind in her hair and the mountains below her, it was easy to imagine that the first beat of fate was echoing throughout this place. As that first echo of destiny traveled down from the highlands, it found form not in stone walls or battle cries, but in sacred temples, intricate carvings, and the timeless grace of Patan Square. Tucked just across the Bagmati River from bustling Kathmandu lies Patan, quieter, smaller, but no less magnificent. At its heart stands Patan Square, one of the three regal jewels of the Kathmandu Valley, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site that feels less like a monument and more like a living chronicle of craftsmanship. This was once the ceremonial core of the Mala kings, where royal rituals played out against a backdrop of stunning architecture. But what truly defines Patan isn't just history, it's artistry. Intricate wood carvings adorn every temple beam and palace window, each line a whisper of devotion and detail. Bronze statues, some no larger than a hand, capture deities with expressions so lifelike. Every temple is a statement, every courtyard a gallery. The newer artisans who keep this tradition alive have passed down the techniques through the generations, chiseling, molding, carving not just to be displayed behind glass, but to be lived in, touched, and worshipped. Their hands breathe life into it, day after day, century after century. Walking through Patan Square is like stepping into a sculptor's dream, golden rooftops catching the morning sun, prayer wheels spinning softly under ancient arcades, and stone lions watching silently from their pedestals. Time moves differently here. It lingers in the air, in the scent of incense, in the sound of chisels echoing from hidden workshops. Patan Square is like a quiet rhythm, a sacred geometry carved not only in stone, but also in the memories of those who pass through here. Tucked within the sacred geometry of Patan Square lies a quieter treasure. Patan Museum. Once a royal palace, now a realm of sacred art. Each object a breath of devotion, each room a pause in time. Step inside, centuries unfold in silence. Here, every bronze statue, every carved Tirana, every whisper of gold leaf tells not just a story, but a spiritual lineage. They are not just artifacts of faith, but pieces of a living universe, where the silence of Buddhism and Hindu mythology blend in forms both familiar and sacred. According to UNESCO's 2025 report, the museum plays a vital role in preserving newer heritage, not as relics sealed behind glass, but as cultural currents still flowing through Nepal's heart. The collection maps the journey of Nepalese art as it spread across the Himalayas and into Tibet, China, and beyond, echoing the country's quiet influence in Asia's spiritual and aesthetic evolution. In this silence, history does not sleep, it still listens to the sounds of the living present. The Patan Museum does not ask for anything, but remains with those who visit like breath on cold glass, gradually fading but never really disappearing. Emerging from the hushed corridors of Patan Museum, the journey slips eastward into a world where centuries still move with the wind toward Bhaktapur Durbar Square, where the past unfurls like a living tapestry beneath the infinite sky. Here, time does not sit behind glass. It strides across cobblestone lanes, echoing through brick courtyards and timbered balconies. Bhaktapur, the city of devotees, rises like a medieval dream, almost untouched by the fever of the modern world. This ancient city holds the spirit of a Nepal that once ruled by artistry as much as by kings. At its heart stands Nyingchi Temple, a 5-tiered masterpiece that has weathered centuries of trembling earth, rising each time with the quiet strength of something determined to endure. Each floor rises like a hymn, carved in brick, guarded by stone lions, elephants, and gods that seem to watch over each path with timeless peace. The square unfolds as a living canvas, where ancient brick and carved wood breathe in quiet rhythm, and incense drifts through the air like a prayer that never ends. Beyond Nyingchi's commanding presence, Bhaktapur Durbar Square stretches like a grand manuscript of brick and wood, each courtyard a stanza, each tiered roof a verse of devotion. The Malla kings once shaped this place with an architect's precision and a poet's heart, leaving behind a labyrinth of shrines, palaces, and intricate reliefs that whisper of a civilization steeped in craftsmanship. Sunlight filters through the ochre-colored tiles, illuminating intricately carved windows where coiled dragons and gods appear. In wood, their shapes softened by centuries of wind and monsoons. To the west stands the 55-window palace, a regal facade where dark timber frames shimmer against the red brick like calligraphy on parchment. Its latticed balconies, each opening a fragment of sky, are adorned with scrollwork so fine it seems almost too fragile to have survived the relentless turning of time. Nearby, the Vatsala Temple rises in tranquil dignity, its stone surfaces alive with intricate patterns that capture the morning light and release it in soft, shimmering waves. The Taleju bell, massive and resonant, hangs silent now, yet its bronze curves hold echoes of festivals and prayers long past. Everywhere, the artistry of Bhaktapur reveals itself in details easy to overlook: the precise join of interlocking bricks, the gentle slope of roof lines layered with terracotta tiles, the rhythmic alignment of wooden struts carved with mythic beasts and protective deities. Here the past is no mere memory, it endures in living stone and whispering wood beneath the boundless Nepali sky. Leaving the ancient grandeur of Bhaktapur behind, the road bends northward through the wide sweep of the Kathmandu Valley, where rolling hills slowly yield to an open expanse crowned by a single luminous presence, Boudhanath Stupa. One of the largest in the world, it rises like a white mandala of stone, and silence its vast dome gleaming against the pale Himalayan sky. From a distance, the stupa seems to hover above the valley floor, a still center amid the slow turning wheel of life. This is the spiritual heart of Tibetan Buddhism in Nepal, a sanctuary shaped by centuries of pilgrimage and the quiet resilience of exiled communities who found refuge here in the 20th century. Encircling the great white dome are tiers of terraces and prayer wheels, each spun by countless hands, sending whispered mantras into the moving air. The stupa itself is more than architecture. It is a cosmic map rendered in brick and gold, a diagram of enlightenment where every line holds a layer of meaning. The 13 golden steps of the spire trace the stages of awakening, while the dome below mirrors the infinite expanse of the mind. At the summit, the Buddha's tranquil gaze extends toward the four directions, an unyielding emblem of insight and boundless compassion that seems to watch over all who enter the valley. Above, strings of prayer flags stretch outward like rivers of color, carrying blessings across the valley with each breath of wind. As the afternoon light softens, the stupa gathers the sky in its curve. The gold pinnacle catching the sun in a final burnished glow. Even in perfect stillness, Boudhanath seems to draw breath, a living mandala of stone and spirit, carrying within its quiet heart the timeless promise of awakening for all who walk its sacred circle. From the serene stillness of Boudhanath, the path curves toward a solitary hill rising above Kathmandu, where Swayambhunath stands as a sentinel of faith. Draped in legends older than the city itself, this ancient sanctuary rests on a wooded crest, its golden spire gleaming through the trees as if guiding pilgrims upward. From the summit, the entire valley spreads below in a sweep of rooftops and rivers framed by distant Himalayan peaks that shimmer in the shifting light. Swayambhunath is a realm where Hindu and Buddhist traditions converge in seamless harmony. Temples dedicated to Shiva and Vishnu sit alongside prayer wheels and shortens their edges blurred by centuries of intertwined devotion and reverent practice. The great stupa at the hill's crown rises from a whitewashed base like a cosmic axis, its gilded tower bearing the calm, unblinking eyes of the Buddha that gaze across the four directions. Around it, a constellation of smaller temples, chaitayas, and bronze votives form a sacred geometry, each element echoing an older truth of balance and awakening. Everywhere, life and spirit mingle in quiet spectacle. Bands of rhesus macaques roam freely along the stairways and terraces, their quick movements a playful counterpoint to the stupa's stillness. Strings of multicolored prayer flags stretch from the spire to the trees, snapping in the valley breeze, each flutter carrying a wish for peace into the vast Nepali sky. Carved prayer wheels line the pathways, their soft turning releasing murmured mantras into the air like ripples on a silent pond. As dusk settles, the hill takes on an otherworldly glow. Lamps flicker before shrines, incense drifts upward through the cooling air, and the golden finial of the stupa catches the last light of day. Here, where earth and sky meet, Swayambhunath endures as a living testament to Nepal's layered faith, a hill of stone and spirit forever watching over the valley below. From the watchful heights of Swayambhunath, the journey descends along the eastern slopes of Kathmandu, where the sacred waters of the Bagmati River lead to another heart of devotion, Pashupatinath. Here the air is filled with the scent of incense and the deep hum of ritual as one of South Asia's most revered Hindu temples rises along the riverbank, its gilded spires and multi-tiered tiled roofs a timeless tribute to Lord Shiva and the cycle of life and death. The river itself carries the pulse of ritual life. Along its banks, stone ghats host the timeless rites of cremation, where fire transforms the body and the smoke rises toward the heavens. A stark yet profound expression of the Hindu belief in the cycle of life and death. Here, every chant, every folded leaf offering, and every flicker of flame resonates with the concept of samsara, the endless circle of birth, death, and rebirth. Within the temple courtyard's carved stone and timber unfold stories of centuries-old reverence. Lingam statues of Shiva and sculpted reliefs stand as silent witnesses to generations of worshippers, each carving a meditation on the divine. Bells chime with the passing breeze, their resonant tones mingling with the soft flow of the Bagmati, creating a rhythm that mirrors the eternal cycles it oversees. Colorful flags and sacred threads flutter along railings, and trees symbolizing prayers and protection, while incense coils spiral upward, carrying the fragrance of devotion into the Nepali sky. Every element of Pashupatinath, from the flowing river to the towering spires, serves as a reminder of life's impermanence and the enduring presence of the divine. Here the cycle of samsara is made tangible, and the sacred heart of Shiva beats quietly yet unmistakably, weaving its presence through every breath of the valley. Southwest of the Kathmandu Valley, beyond the emerald fields and forested plains of the Terai, lies Lumbini, a hallowed cradle of faith where Siddhartha Gautama first entered the world more than 2,600 years ago. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this quiet sanctuary remains one of Buddhism's most sacred destinations, drawing pilgrims, scholars, and seekers from every corner of the globe, who come to honor the moment that set the wheel of Dharma into motion. At the heart of the complex stands the Maya Devi Temple, a serene whitewashed shrine that protects the exact spot where Queen Maya is believed to have given birth beneath the branches of a flowering sal tree. Within its still interior, a simple stone marker designates the precise birthplace, while just outside the Ashokan pillar rises in solemn testimony. Carved in the 3rd century BCE during the reign of Emperor Ashoka, the ancient inscriptions on the stone pillar confirm this as the birthplace of the Buddha, linking the present-day reverence with a tradition of worship that stretches back thousands of years. Along tranquil walkways and mirror-like ponds stand monasteries built by nations across Asia and beyond. Each reflects the spirit of its homeland, the sweeping flame-tipped gables of Thai Wats, the quiet precision of Japanese gardens, the multicolored prayer wheels and soaring stupas of Tibetan design, the graceful symmetry of Chinese pagodas. Together, they form a mosaic of cultures united in homage to the Buddha's birth, their bells and chants blending into a universal hymn of awakening. Lumbini becomes more than a pilgrimage. It is a reminder that enlightenment is not solely a human journey, but a harmony that reaches beyond humanity, resonating with every creature that moves beneath the wide sky. Northward, from the sacred calm of Lumbini, the landscape shifts from flat Terai grasslands to emerald foothills, rising gently until the snowy ramparts of the Annapurna Range emerge, their peaks shimmering like distant guardians of the sky. Here lies Pokhara, Nepal's serene lake city, where snow peaks and still waters meet in a landscape that feels both intimate and infinite. At its heart spreads Fewer Lake, a wide mirror of blue and silver that cradles the reflections of Machapuchare, the Fishtail Peak, and the towering Annapurnas beyond. At dawn, the mountains ignite in hues of rose and gold, their mirrored forms trembling softly on the lake's surface. By evening, as the sun sinks behind the western hills, the water deepens to shades of violet and amber, a living canvas for the slow dance of twilight. Colorful wooden boats, known as dungas, glide across the glassy expanse, carrying pilgrims toward the small Talbarahi Temple, set on a wooded island near the lake's center. Bells chime faintly from the shrine as worshippers circle the pagoda, their prayers mingling with the soft sound of oars dipping into water. Pokhara is more than a refuge of calm. It is also the gateway to adventure. From here, legendary trekking routes fan outward toward the Annapurna Circuit and the Annapurna Base Camp, drawing climbers and wanderers alike into the realm of ice and sky. Yet even for those who stay within the city, the rhythm of Pokhara, mountain light on water prayer flags stirring in the breeze, the slow, steady beat of village life offers its own quiet ascent. And as the mountains rise higher and the air grows thinner, that quiet ascent becomes literal, leading toward the roof of the world, where clouds drift below the trails and Everest begins to show its face. The Himalayas not only rose, but also awakened like a forgotten god stirring from within the rock. And at the crown of it all, rising with quiet majesty, stands Everest Chomolungma, the goddess mother of the world. It is not just the tallest mountain on Earth. It is a symbol carved into the collective dream of humankind, a land where human aspirations blend with admiration for nature. Reaching Everest Base Camp is not a conquest, but a moment of complete immersion in majestic nature. At more than 5,000 meters above sea level, Everest Base Camp feels less like an arrival than a suspension between earth and sky, motion and stillness. Glaciers surround the path, prayer flags ripple in the thin air, and in that vast silence, time seems to loosen its grip. The wind moves gently. The mountains, though silent, feel impossibly alive. But the Himalayas are more than just a land of rock and snow. They are also home to a resident as mysterious as the mountains themselves, the Himalayan snow leopard. Elusive and near mythical, it is known as the ghost of the mountains. Few ever see it. In this white wilderness, it moves like smoke, silent, sacred, and unseen by all but the most patient eyes. Here, in this high-altitude cathedral of stone and sky, life is both fragile and fierce. Every footprint in the snow is temporary, but the feeling of being small beneath something vast, of standing where the earth meets the stars, lingers long after the climb ends. Beyond the snow line of the Himalayas, where the mountains cast long shadows over forgotten paths, lies a world carved from wind and time, Mustang. The language of the land shifts. Glaciers and terraces give way to canyons, cliffs, and the quiet tones of bare earth. Ochre cliffs rise like ancient fortresses. The earth turns rust-red and bone-white, as if scorched by the sun and sculpted by silence. Mustang is a high-altitude desert, remote, windswept, and astonishingly still. Amidst the silence, a timeless culture continues, gently, steadily, like breathing under stone. Tibetan in heart and heritage, this former kingdom has preserved its traditions like sacred scrolls sealed by stone. Monasteries cling to cliff faces, prayer flags flutter above hidden valleys, and in the stillness, the old ways remain unbroken. There is no grandeur here in noise or motion, only the quiet conviction of a landscape laid bare. And in that stillness lies a truth, a reminder that beauty does not always bloom in lushness, but sometimes in bare rock and breathless sky. To walk a Mustang is to drift between eras, a land stripped of its essence. The colors, the wind, the silence makes it all the more sacred. At the northern edge of Mustang, tucked beneath the vast emptiness of the Tibetan Plateau, rises a city like no other, Lomanthang. Encircled by ochre walls, first raised in the 15th century, this ancient capital holds its breath between sky and stone. Within the maze of narrow alleys and sun-bleached stupas, the past still walks with unhurried steps. Whitewashed monasteries sit quietly beneath prayer flag canopies, their walls adorned with fading murals that have witnessed centuries of devotion. Chanting rises from dim interiors. Lomanthang is also a city of living rituals. Its people, draped in thick woolen robes, still gather for timeless festivals where masked dancers move in rhythm with the wind, retelling epics older than the kingdom itself. These are not reenactments, they are continuations. Amid weathered walls, sunlit dust, and the hush of highland air, something becomes clear. Some places aren't meant to be explained, only experienced. From the prayer flag-strewn passes of Everest to the sunlit silence of Mustang, this journey across Nepal has not only followed paths through mountains and cities, but through time, faith, and the enduring beauty of a land shaped by both. In a world that moves quickly, Nepal invites us to move slowly, to listen more, to feel deeper. If this story spoke to you, we'd love to hear from you. Please like, comment, and subscribe to True Globe for more stories from far-flung corners of the world.